Hi, I'm Vicky.
Hi, I'm Ken.
Hi, I'm Jeff.
I'm Bud, and we are the Pickleball Crew. And welcome to the sixth installment of the Pickleball Crew's weekly podcast. The Pickleball Crew is a group of pickleball fanatics based in southeast Louisiana, but passionate about all things pickleball anywhere. In this podcast, Ken will review area tournaments, and then our group of pickleball nerds will have the privilege of talking to Petra Reynolds and Tony Beauregard about the current state of pickleball officiating. You do not want to miss this discussion. And of course, Jeff will share his latest Burr Under His Saddle. Hello everybody, this is Bud, and welcome to the next episode of the Pickleball Crew. We're going to start off this episode with Ken and tournament review.
Hey, thanks, Bud. All right, let's talk about tournaments. We're getting more and more tournaments on the calendar. So we still have coming up, of course, as we're recording this weekend is going to be the paddle battle at Pelican Park. We're looking forward to that tournament. Registration has closed for that. That'll be Sunday, June 25th. So we're looking forward to reporting some results from that tournament. Saturday, July 29th is still the Daphne Doubles Tournament. It's put on by the Daphne Recreation Department, and it's at WO Lot Park. So you can go to www.daphnerecreation.com. It's $30 a person. Registration ends at the end of July. August 4th through 6th is the Big Easy Tournament. We're excited about that. It's at the New Orleans Hilton. It is full. Now, Friday evening, there's going to be open play. There'll be 8 courts, so you can get out there and do some open play on Friday. The tournament will be Saturday and Sunday. Bring any old paddles that you want to donate. They're looking for donations. It should be a great time at the New Orleans Hilton. August 10th through 13th is the inaugural New Orleans Pickleball Festival. That is the Drew Brees tournament at the Convention Center. Right now, registration there's 419 people registered as of earlier today. I checked, and most of the men's open groups are full and have a waiting list. The men's 50 plus still has availability. Women's doubles has a lot of availability, and mixed still has availability at certain levels. Just Google Drew Brees Pickleball Fest. You'll get a link to the tournament, and you can register. I did email someone from the tournament, and they said you can come by and watch any of the events. There's no charge to get in as a spectator, and there's also going to be some exhibition matches. I don't know when those are. Probably as we get closer to the tournament, they'll put out a full schedule. So that's going to be exciting to get to see some of those matches. August 23rd through 7th is the Gastric Cancer Foundation Tournament in Foley, pickleballbrackets.com. That is a Wednesday through a Sunday, so you go to Pickleball Brackets to register for that. Let's see. Also, that same weekend, and I apologize that we hadn't mentioned it up until now, August 26th and 27th, for the Love of the Y. That's being held at the Paula G. Manship Tennis Center in Baton Rouge. Ronnie Walters is the host. Magnolia Classic with Andrea and Bill. They'll be putting on or running that tournament. There's men's doubles and women's doubles on Saturday, mixed on Sunday. Registration is open. Guys, let's support this tournament. It's I think it's one of the first ones that he's having on those courts, and that's a nice facility, great location to spend the weekend. That'd be at the YMCA in Baton Rouge. October 14th, 15th. I'm sorry, I skipped one. Let's see. September 7th through 10th is the Fall Paddles of the Plex at the Plex in Opelika. And October 7th, 8th, it's a Saturday, Sunday, we have both the Pickle Pink at Pelican Park and a St. Francisville tournament two great tournaments are happening the same weekend. We'll try to, have hopefully both will get supported as well as they can. And then October 14th, 15th is the Vicksburg, Mississippi tournament. We're still waiting on more information on how to register. The last weekend in October, the 27th through 29th, is the Hollow Wheel at Breck's Highland Park Tennis Center. That is full. You could, if you want to get on a waiting list, you could probably contact Cindy. That's always a great tournament, great fundraiser, and just a fun weekend. Actually, people hang out till the wee hours of the night at that tournament and get there back the next morning. So it's always a good time. So we'll stop it there. That's through October. If you have any questions and you have any tournament updates, drop us a comment, get in touch with us, and we'll help promote your tournament. So that's it for now. Back to you, Bud.
All right, Ken, thanks. We're going to deviate from our usual format a little bit. Last week, Jeff got into a little burr under his saddle and he got cut off. So, Jeff, what was that burr under your saddle that you wanted to bring back up?
You're burr under my saddle.
Bud's being very nice. We got cut off because of my 1920s cell phone. The only guy trying to do a podcast with a flip phone.
Oh, Jeff, the Smithsonian called and they want that cell phone.
Really? I knew there had to be some value there, Ken. All right, so anyway, from the back seat of my sister's car, we're up at the golf course. We took my mom and dad over here to the casino and we went and ate. But I told them, I said, y'all, I got to do a podcast at 3:45. So here I am, backseat of Debbie's car. We're headed home now. Anyway, all right. So last week we talked a little about it. We didn't get to finish it, so we didn't get it on. But the Burr in My Saddle this week is these better players. And you know who you are. When you're at a rec play situation, give a game or two to some of the people that are beneath, that are beginners or intermediates. Those type people can pick up so much from playing with a couple of better players. And I understand if you're working for a tournament or something like that, but every now and then, if you can, give some games to those players. Somebody played with my sorry butt when I wasn't any good at all. Not that I'm great now, but somebody gave to me, and we all relish those games where we can get in a little bit higher level games. So that's the Burr Under My Saddle. And again, as I always say, if you don't want to do it, maybe some of us others will pick up the slack and it'll be okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. That was a great Burr Under My Saddle. All right. Now we've got the pleasure of a special guests. We're bringing on Tony and Petra Beauregard. Going to get them up here. Okay, great. So Jeff, why don't you kick us off?
All right. So like Bud said, we got Keith and Petra on with us this week. We kind of felt like we're wanting to do any and everybody to do with pickleball. Yeah, I see you pointing at Petra, Keith. But it's kind of a unique thing. Y'all are big time into PPA officiating. Petra's already moved up the ladder. Keith is steady moving up, just right there with her. But so we just wanted to get y'all's story. Petra, if you want to start us off, kind of tell us maybe a little bit about that trail that you went on to find your spot there in PPA refereeing.
Well, number one, I'm not just refereeing PPA. I also referee APP and any other tournament I can referee at. So let's not make it like it. This is about all the pickleball, not just a certain tour. But what happened is Keith started to Keith, Tony, whatever you want to call him, started getting heavily into pickleball. And I like watching the sport, love watching the sport, can't stand playing, just don't want to do it. So when I retired, we were talking about ways for me to get involved. The first was, well, why don't you help tournament operations? And I kind of looked at tournament operations and I said, no, I did that kind of job for too long. I don't want to do that again because it's so stressful and you got to deal with people that are a lot of times can be very unpleasant a lot. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something that suits me better. So he goes, well, think about refereeing. So I started researching refereeing. Well, there's a number of things. If we want to grow the sport of pickleball, we need more referees. As of the beginning of this year, there's 211 certified referees in the US. If you think about that, we have at least 50 sanctioned tournaments going on every year. That's not a whole bunch of people to referee all these tournaments. And not every person can afford to go travel and referee in faraway places like Utah. So it really became very dear to me to become a referee and grow referees, especially in our state, since I was the first credentialed referee here in the state with my level 1 that I earned. And then so I did that, and then I got kind of stuck because I couldn't find anybody to mentor me here in the state that would take me by my little hand and say, hey, here's what you need to do to progress.
You were
So
blazing
Terry
your own
Lampress,
trail, weren't you?
it was a very
was.
long trail.
It was a long time from her level 1 until she even started figuring out how to progress any further.
Yes. And Terry Lampress got me in touch with Tom Whitson, who is actually our referee coordinator in our state. So he's over everything referee, and not in our state, in our region. Okay. So I started talking to Tom, and he said, well, why don't you come to a tournament to referee? So I went to the APP in Houston. And that's where I learned all the things I didn't know about refereeing.
The one thing I'll interject here is that I figured when she came back from the APP tournament in Houston that she was either going to want to continue on or she was going to quit. And when she got back, she was exhausted, and I actually was almost betting on quitting, but she didn't.
No, I at the point I don't think I had a real concept how strenuous refereeing can be, because I know you guys running around on the court, that's really strenuous. However, think about it. You might play 5 matches, 6 matches, 7 matches. We referee up to 20 matches a day. So, yeah.
It's
Yes.
it is the way I've described it is as challenging as actually playing the game. It's just different.
Yeah. It's a different challenge.
It's a different challenge.
To stay mentally alert and to, I mean, you're standing all day long, you're walking. I think my hardest tournament up to date was in Atlanta. The venue is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. However, there's a million steps. There's stairs everywhere.
I wanted to make sure that this came out in this interview. There's probably no one else, Petra, that you know of that is refereeing at that high of a level that has never played a game of pickleball. Is that correct?
I don't think so.
That makes
I
your
don't know anybody.
situation very unique.
Well, like I said, I think I found my niche on where I fit in this game. And I enjoy the game. I really do love it. I love how it brings people of all walks of life and all ages together. When you're at a tournament with like 1,500 people, that's pretty powerful. You see all these different personalities. You get to interact with people at all levels, 3Os to pros that have been pros for a long time. And it's really fascinating to just interact with all these different folks and get that together. But It's challenging. It is.
Yeah, because y'all and Keith, either one of y'all can comment on this. You're refereeing some pro pickleball matches where the ball speed is just unbelievably fast.
You know, in a strange way, the ball speed only matters so much because one of the things that referees have to do is not pay attention to the ball. Um, Basically, what happens is, and this was something I learned at the tournament while I was there. Once a ball bounces on a side of the net, you don't pay attention to that side of the net anymore.
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
what?
you're looking at feet, and you're following the kitchen line mainly, huh?
Yes.
After the serve, you're really focused on the kitchen line on both sides. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. We can focus a little bit outside of there, but once all four people come up to the kitchen line, we're supposed to be locked
Yeah.
on the line and feet.
Yeah.
So I kind of describe it as I've been to some of the best matches I've never seen.
I know the few times I've refereed a game, I totally lost concentration, and in all honesty, I didn't look at the kitchen line at all. I was too
Yep.
too focused on watching the game, you know.
Yes.
So I know
Yep.
I'm not a good referee.
So what happens to me is when sometimes I get to be on a live stream, and I like being the tracking ref who sits in the back and just keeps track of the second score sheet because I actually get to watch that game. So I've seen some really amazing championship matches. However, when I'm first or second ref, I do not see anything of the game, so I have to go back and actually watch that game so I get to see the game, so I know what happened.
That's a good question, Petra. On a professional level, how many referees are involved in a game?
Well, it depends. At this point in time, if you watch an APP championship match, there will be five, no,
Good.
6, 7, 7.
Yeah, because they use
They,
line.
they use line judges.
They're using line judges at the moment.
Right. So there's 6 line judges and then a lead ref. At the PPA level, at this point in time, there is 3 referees.
Which is a recent change.
Correct. So there's a first and a second ref, and they have different areas that they're watching during the game. And then there's the tracking ref, who sits behind and who keeps count on a score sheet. And that was always there, but now it's getting even more important because the electronic scoring is coming. You've seen people with the iPad, and so the lead referees will always have the iPad. However, if something goes wrong with the iPad, there has to be a backup that you can hand them that sheet of paper and they can take over with the paper. Now, the recent change is since the PPA has video challenges, the tracking referee will be the one to review the video challenges.
Yep. They had to change that because they ran into a problem where they tried using the second referee, but they decided that they can't actually use anybody that's involved with the match in case that person has a misunderstanding, which happened.
Yeah. So there was a big to-do, and it was all over the internet. A referee made a erroneous call on a foot fault, and then was also the referee that had to review that foot fault, still
So they were
operating.
reviewing their own call.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
that wasn't necessarily the problem, but the problem was she had a misunderstanding of the rule. So when she reviewed, she still misunderstood the rule. So it was she didn't understand what her mistake was.
Everybody expected the call to be overturned.
Yes, right.
But then when it was sustained, it came as a shock to everybody, including the head referee who decided he had to change things immediately.
Right.
But so now the tracking ref is also the video referee because they're not involved in the actual match.
Correct. And we used to have 4 referees involved in video challenges. The 4th referee was in the video truck reviewing. However, that became a problem because since USAP and PPA are now kind of combining some of the tournaments, PPAs becoming sanctioned in some tournaments, and running golden ticket events, we never have enough referees.
Right.
Never. Never. And I mean that, never.
Keith and Petra, tell us what is the progression for someone to become a referee? And I understand there's multiple levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. And once you reach that level, what does that kind of entitle you as far as being able to referee? At what level, what type of matches?
Okay, so there's different
4 levels.
well, there's different opinions on what level is should referee what kind of match. He came with me to Texas and he was an unrated referee. However, I had spoken to the powers that may be, and one of his first matches was a pro match.
My first match was a pro match. So, in theory, what they should have done was they should have had me shadow somebody for a day, and then had somebody shadow me for a day, and then on the third day I would be allowed to actually referee matches on my own if I got past everybody. Instead, early in the morning on the first day, they walked up to me and they handed me a pro singles match.
Oh my
And
God!
A frying pan, Keith.
Yeah, well, what happened was then Petra went and asked. He goes, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And Don Stanley goes, "Is he ready?" And she goes, "Yeah, I believe so." He goes, "Then let him go."
So
And
Petra-
it went fine.
He trusted me
Yeah.
enough to assess whether he was ready or not. And
So the PPA is one of the few organizations that would let that happen.
right.
All right.
But okay, so basically, at this point, for example, Ken is a non-rated trainee. He has done the training to become a referee, but he hasn't become rated yet because I believe that he probably doesn't have enough time to actually do a whole lot of the things that are required.
At this time.
Right. Thomas Hawkard is another person that has gone through the training and really wants to go further with it, but also has a little bit of trouble getting started. It does take quite a bit of commitment. You have to go.
I'm sorry. The first step is to take the training and you become an untrained referee, and then you start refereeing in local matches. You could referee local tournaments at that point, unsanctioned tournaments, and then how many tournaments do you need? And what's the step to become a level 1 from there?
I would say everybody should have at least attended one tournament, whether it's local or national, to see what the requirement is. It's one thing to referee a rec game. It's a different thing to actually referee a match in a tournament, because you're doing pre-match briefings, etc., etc. So it's a little different. So I would say you should have at least refereed at one tournament that was not rec play.
They're looking for at least 15. They want you to referee at least 15 matches, which is
somewhere
low.
around
Is low.
Yeah.
But
so there's
level
not
1.
a written requirement of how many matches you should have refereed, but it's more like you watch people and you see how comfortable are they on the court. Are you competent? If something happens on the court, how do you handle it? Do you handle it well, or do you get flustered? Do you lose your spot? Do
you lose control of the
court? Yeah, do you lose control of the court? And we've seen all that. And then so after you have that confidence in yourself and your trainer has that confidence in you, you become a level 1 referee. So there's an assessment that's on court, and it can be at a tournament or it can be rec play. Doesn't matter.
And 3 tests. 3 online tests.
3 online tests and your visual acuity form. And then you're level 1. Then you would gain some more experience, and then you can take your test for your level 2.
Your script should be crisper, because everything that happens is scripted.
Correct. And
your pre-match briefing is flexible, but it's scripted. When someone calls a timeout, there's an exact script you're supposed to use. At the end of a game or the end of a match, the scripts are very exacting, and they change every once in a while, so you have to memorize the new ones.
Correct.
So can I ask real quickly, when you do the training, Ken obviously went and did the training with you, Petra. Do you have to be a level 1 or a level 2 in order to actually do the training?
Yes. When you become a level 2, you can also ask your regional training coordinator to become a trainer. And they can either approve that or deny that. And I was approved. And so basically I can train referees and award them their level 1s, and then after that they would have to see somebody else to award them their level 2s.
The only person in the state of Louisiana who couldn't get their level 1 here was me, because
Well, I could have. They told me that I could have done it, but I said I wasn't going to
it
because
just doesn't look right.
Correct. So I took him to Texas, and he didn't just get his level 1; he also got his level 2 while he was there.
That's
So-
fantastic.
Way to
Congratulations.
go.
Hey, that's all on her. I thought I had learned barely enough to get my level 1. All right. And I have to admit, after taking the level 1, I went, okay, I can relax the rest of this thing and just referee. And then they said, go for your level 2. And I thought about it. And after a while, I said no. And then Don Stanley walked up and said, I really kind of hope, we're really looking forward to you getting your level 2. And I went, well, damn.
Keith, that's why whenever I see Petra at red play or at a tournament or something, I want to go sit, give her a hug, sit down next to her. Immediately, my IQ goes up like 2 or 3 points just by being present. She's so smart.
She's
no
an
wonder
excellent
she's dragging you along.
Yeah, she's an excellent.
She is very smart lady.
Well, I take all the credit. He was also willing to put in the work, and I kind of got pushy with him, probably more than I would with anybody else.
Just before this interview, we actually popped up a tournament on the television and scored it. Because that's one of the things I did to practice is that we've got printed out score sheets, and I will actually sit there and fill out a score sheet during a match so that my use of the board, the clip, and the marks is very efficient.
Yeah,
and that helps a lot.
Yeah,
great idea. That's your new family entertainment, huh?
Well, yeah, kind of. But so after you receive your level 2, which is the same test as the level 1, except they want you to be more efficient, more crisp.
Yep.
They want you to be consistent. So at level 1, they don't expect as fluent performance as they do at the level 2. And then you start that long, tedious path to become a certified referee.
That's different.
So our next step is we are right now with a study group preparing to what's called an ATS, which is an advanced training session. You get on a court, and there's people there, players there, that receive scenarios of mistakes that they should make. And they make as many mistakes as you can think of in one match, which usually never happens. But they want to see how many of them do you catch? How well do you keep control of that court where you constantly people out of position, people stepping in the kitchen, people breaking the plane of the net, cussing, etc., etc. Do you lose it, or do you stick with your scripts? Do you stay on task? So that's the purpose of that. There's that on-court performance, then there's a written part to it, and then there's an oral part to it.
And then another court.
Well, no.
The final.
No, that's once you and you get judged on your performance at that advanced training session, and it's either you passed, you failed, or deferred. Deferred means that the person that assessed you on court basically says, I'm not sure I want to pass this person, I'm leaving it to somebody else. So
Petra, do you envision trying to get something started here in the state of Louisiana to try to recruit new referees?
I have been trying. I conducted a training, and I would love to do more trainings. However, it's kind of like you have to have a group of at least 5 people to do a training. I do put a lot of time and expense into doing trainings, so I don't just want to go out and train 1 or 2 people at a time. And a lot of times you get 10 people together, and you're lucky if one person actually wants to continue.
A matter of fact, in the last class that we did together, nobody.
13 people.
We had 13 people in the class, and everybody said, "Wow, this is hard. I'm not doing it."
You know, one of the benefits of that I found, and I went through your 8-hour, 2-day, 4 hours each day, and I got to tell you, you're so knowledgeable, you're so smart, but yet you're so personable. I just felt so comfortable, and you were able to just answer questions right off the top of your head, and you were very. And if you didn't know, you definitely did the research to make sure that you answered it correctly. It was really a lot of fun for me. Right now, there's only so many things I can fit into a day, but that is something that I definitely want to pursue further on down the line. But I tell you, if nothing else, it made me more aware of what that referee's role is, and it got me up to speed on a lot of the rules. I think as a pickleball player, I really need to know, a broader set of rules than you do whether, just calling a ball in or out, who's served. There's a lot of, I actually learned some things that I'm now have the right to do and to call and to say during a match that I wasn't aware of. So I think it's a great experience. The other thing I wanted to add is, as a player traveling to the tournaments, if you are a level, what you can correct me, a level 1 or level 2, on the days you're not playing, you can referee and make a little bit of extra money. I don't know if you want to elaborate on the pay and where it's going, but that's a way to almost help fund those trips when you're going to play pickleball at other tournaments.
We actually have a couple, they're senior pros, and they referee on the days they're not playing, and it offsets their cost for coming to the tournament. At this point in time, most referees cover their cost, their travel cost, at least at the PPA tournaments, and somewhat at the APP tournaments. I think the pay is changing slowly but surely. The beauty at a PPA tournament is you can referee as much as you want, not just required matches. They will put you on. You can referee as many matches as you want every day. So you make, as a level, untrained level 1 and level 2 all make the same, which is $12 per match. So if you referee 10 matches that day, you made $120 that day. If you go into the tournament anyways as a player, yes, it's a wonderful way to offset most of your cost, actually. And then there's a stipend depending on how many matches you referee. Don Stanley gives a stipend, which is quite generous. And also sometimes, if there's extra work to be done, we get extra matches or extra stipends assigned.
And all the different things, the APP and the USAP sanctioned matches, they've all got their own
Right.
own pay scales.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can do okay at any of them.
Right. And it's changing, the culture is changing more and more, because the one thing at a tournament, and it's not just because people are refereeing or it's sanctioned, the really big deal is having referees keeps your tournament on track, because matches are starting when they're supposed to. Timeouts last a minute, not 2 or 3 or 5. Time between games is 2 minutes, not 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So everything stays on track. If you ever ran a tournament with 50 people, then you know that you can get really quickly behind really fast. To answer your question short, definitely for people that want to go play larger tournaments and looking to offset their cost a little bit, it's a great way to offset your cost. Is it gonna, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It really is. You get
The
to
people
know,
are great.
you get to know a lot of people. You'd be surprised. Like I said, referees get picked apart on the internet regularly because they made a mistake. Oh my God, we're human. Okay. So there's a 70-page rule book. There's a 78-page officiating handbook and a 16-page case book. And you know all of that.
Yep.
And you watching, like Ken can attest to, like 50 things at the same time, and you made a mistake. Okay, so sue me on the internet.
So there's two things. There's two things I'll say about that though. One, you're at a
Yes.
tournament. You're walking from your court back to the operations desk, and people are giving you high fives.
Yes.
All right, that's one. The second thing is that the professionals, referees are getting more visible.
Yes.
Well, our goal is not to be part of the game, to stay out of the game, not affect it, but we're getting more visible as time goes by. So the referees that come in need to understand that this is becoming a professional organization.
Yes.
And the
Very
referees
much
that
so.
come in have to be prepared to be professional, because the scripts that they put together aren't suggestions. Okay, they really want you to use them because they want us all to do things the same way so that players know what's coming. We have to be flexible because we do things differently for pros. How many times does a pro need to go through a pre-match briefing?
Never.
Okay. I mean, if they need to go through a pre-match briefing, we're in a mess anyway.
Well,
so.
I think the message out there is, and I think this is what people really need to hear. This sport is in its baby shoes as far as becoming national and on TV, etc. As the sport progresses, there's going to be the need for more and more referees that want to be and look professional. Okay, we all supposed to look the same. If you watch PPA, everybody has the same shirt, the same hat, long pants, black sleeves, etc., and people on a lot of times on amateur courts, they're like, I don't know how you stand being in that all day long. It's just another thing.
Buy the right clothes.
Correct. You buy the right clothes, and you just you in Texas it was pretty brutal, but you just get used to it, you know. And as we progress on that path and we all become more professional, the pay is going to increase, as it did with football, as it did with basketball, any sport that has umpires and or referees. It's going to become the same thing in pickleball. So my goal personally is to train not just good referees, but great referees that are willing to do the work.
But I used to umpire baseball and softball. And when I traveled, the organization that I was working for always paid my expenses. I didn't make a lot during the games, but the biggest thing for me in being a referee would be the travel expenses. So to me, I mean, I know if you're playing in the tournament, like you said, you can do that on the side. But I think one of the things the organization needs to do is consider, providing that for the referees.
I don't think, I don't see it going that way, because there's too many people coming from too many corners of the United States. What I see is the pay is going to increase and actually make it worth your traveling, because really, I mean, they feed us, right? They feed us. You don't have to buy food. Anytime we go, we have no food expense, zero. Currently, I travel within a 9 to 10 hour driving distance, so I don't have to fly. And we generally share an Airbnb with a bunch of other referees, which also makes for some really great time off after, if you have anything left in your tank.
We're
yeah,
going to Vegas at the end of the year,
yeah,
and we're going to be there for 10 days,
yeah,
and our lodging together is going to be $400.
right. So there's ways to offset that cost, and honestly, Pickleball referees are like pickleball players. You immediately welcome, you're immediately at home. Everybody bends over backwards to make you feel welcome. And we talk all the time with each other. Hey, are you going to blah tournament? Do you have a place to stay yet? Do you want to bunk together? Do we want to share a room? Do we want to share an Airbnb? How many bedrooms do we need? How many beds? One of my good friends, the Tattlers, they bring more food than you could possibly eat ever. They take the food back home and the drink, but it is a big community. It is very you're gonna have friends all over the United States. It's amazing. It simply is amazing.
But it's going to get there. It
Yeah.
is going to get
Yes.
there. It's growing. It's getting better every.
Yes.
It's better this year than it was last year.
I believe the biggest hurdle is that the tours are really not making money yet. So the referee are a cost, and not an inconsiderable cost in a tour. And when you see, getting a little bit of an insight when you ask, how much does it take to put on a tour, a professional tour? They have to have at least 1,000 participants to break even.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yes. And then you think about, because we were there in Texas when they had to break down, basically be 2 days later, be in San Clemente set up. You see that those ants running around. I mean, the owner and the CEO is breaking down stuff and packing trucks. Okay. They're not making money hand over fist. They really are not. Everybody thinks they're making all this money. They are not. But as this progresses and this sport grows, and there is actual money in putting on these tournaments, that's when we're also going to see the referee pay increase, because without us, they can't put on those tournaments.
How about Major League Pickleball?
Well,
that's a different animal.
That is a very different animal. And those referees actually already make pretty good money. And they do have expenses paid. And they're pretty open about it. However, you have to be a certified referee to be asked on that crew. And there's only a limited number of people that are on a crew like that.
Okay.
It's hard to get on those crews.
Correct.
Kind of like Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Correct. Yes. It's the finest of the fine. It is. The people that are on that crew,
We know them.
We know most of them, and every one of them is somebody I would pick and trust to referee a game. Are they sometimes going to make a mistake? Hell yes, because we are all human.
But they're very consistent.
Yeah. So my words of encouragement to a lot of people that hopefully see this podcast is, let us know what we can do to help you out. Come for a training. Maybe it is for you. You never know until you took a training. It's going to grow your game, as Ken said, because there is a lot of things people don't know. Every tournament we go to in Texas, I called everybody to the middle of the night. I said, folks, here's what I want you to do. Before every serve, I want you to ask me, am I good? And then let's go.
We do babysit.
Yeah, we are not there to gotcha. We are there to help the players. We are there to help the game. We are there to help the tournament, and that's our role. Mm-hmm. It's a service. It's not a power position. Mm-hmm. It is not.
That's nice.
Vicky, do you have a question? I know you were waiting for the question.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we're seeing a lot more tournaments popping up here and there, whatever else. And just question is, do you have any advice for tournament directors? There are a lot of tournaments that they cannot afford to hire officials, but maybe there's some advice that you could give to these tournament directors to help.
Well, here's one of the things they can do. They can sanction with only a head referee. And that doesn't cost you all that much. And then you can actually ask, referee trainees to come and referee, because there's always people that are looking to referee at a local tournament because they're not ready to be at a big tournament yet. Or just ask somebody like me, hey, would you come and be the head ref at my little local tournament? Just if there's questions, if there's any disputes, anything like that, I'll even bring him. And if somebody requests, I would at least want to give people the option of having a referee, because sometimes there are contentious matches,
And
even locally.
and and what happens. I was just gonna say, you're guaranteed to have one person that is intimately, that intimately knows the rules.
Yeah.
And can handle disputes. So
Correct.
Yeah, we just played 3 weeks ago in Opelika, and I had 4 doubles matches with referees. And I like having a referee on the court because I think all the players behave better. I think the match runs smoother. That there's less chance of forgetting what the score is or where people were standing, because you can ask the referee, am I good?
Right.
And the referee, and they were very consistent in how they called the score, how they acted through the match. I agree with you, and I know you said that that is something they're striving for. Is there's so much consistency, it's almost like they're a mimic or robot of each other. The way they acted, the way they handled themselves during the course of a match. I was very impressed, and I had a good time. I like having my match refereed. So
glad to hear that.
Good. We're here. We're. I'm available. I mean, yeah. Hit me up if you're doing a little tournament somewhere, and I'm not gonna charge you. Am I gonna ask you to feed me? Yes, because if I don't get fed, I get hangry, and then everything goes out the window. So.
well, we're hoping that just discussing it and people not realizing that they can easily get on the road to becoming a referee, and that you're doing the kind of the early training to get people exposed to it and get them on the path to becoming a referee. And you're right here in the Slidell area. And you'll hold classes probably as often as you can, that you can get a dozen or more people in. So, and you do a great job.
I'm willing to travel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to travel to Baton Rouge. I'm willing to travel to Lafayette, wherever I have to go. I would love to get more people involved in refereeing here in the state. Hopefully, by the end of the year, I'll be a credentialed referee.
You?
We will be credentialed referees, and then we can go the whole way with people. And I am willing. There is a lot of self-motivation involved, but I'm also willing to do a certain amount of hand-holding to get people navigate the waters. It's not easy. It's not.
Once the two of us get our certifications, we can actually test people up to level 2 in state.
Yes.
And then help them, then I don't know, is there a special requirement for a mentor? No. Then we can actually mentor people that want to get their certifications.
Correct.
Because as soon as I got back from Dallas, I requested and was assigned a mentor.
Yes.
So
that's great. I just love it that you guys are doing this together too.
We're enjoying it.
That's really neat.
Good.
It's it's the best vacation we don't see each other at. It's funny. It is funny.
Well, we went back. Well, no, we didn't even go back to the Airbnb the same time. It was nice.
I kept ending up getting stuck there until like 10:30 at night. Because one of my first nights out there, I was the only referee still on a court with the only 4 players still playing, and everybody else had gone home except for the person I was supposed to ride with, who was just basically told me when I got done with the match, they go, "You're fired."
But yeah, So you get used to, you get up. I mean, in Atlanta, I think was the roughest. We had to be there at 6:30, and most nights we didn't go home till 10:30. Yeah. But we had fun.
Yeah.
We really did. And a lot of times it's just new things, like now having electronic scoring on an iPad. So you really, if you become a referee now, you're really at the forefront of seeing things grow.
Now, if you're becoming a referee now, you can't use the iPad for scoring because the test is all going to be on paper. So you have to
Correct.
practice the paper.
Folks,
So-
any other questions?
No, I think we're good. We really appreciate you guys coming on
Tony
and
and
chatting
Petra,
with us.
thank you very much.
It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank y'all.
We
Thank
really
you, guys.
appreciate you being here.
So
All
informative.
right, guys. Thanks, everybody. That's our latest episode of the Pickleball Crew, and we'll see everybody next week. Bye for now. If you would like more information on pickleball officiating, here is Petra Reynolds' contact information. Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again and see you next week.